Alright. So this I'm still laughing. So this is what we have going on over here. Ta-da! Alright. So under here we've got these little strawberries. And they're just doing their thing. They're just sending out runners. I'm okay with that. I'm good with that. They're not going to be producing anymore. They're the type that only produces one time a year. They're not ever bearing. And then the parsley, I already planted some more seeds. So I'm just letting this one go to seed for now. It's very interesting. If you have a stem like this, and it's not for all plants, but for a lot of them, I found if you have a stem like this and you let this stem go to seed, the other stems that do not have the flowers on them still taste okay for a while afterwards. And then eventually it just gets the whole plant. Oh, our giant tomato over here split. Did you see that, bud? Our giant tomato over here split. We had a downpour of water and a lot of our tomatoes ended up splitting. So this one didn't split actually right after the downpour, but it did today. Holy cow. That was gonna be a big tomato. That thing is 3-4 inches wide. Alright, so exciting thing is now that I have trimmed off that one rose flower, check this out, we got 1, 2, 3 blooms. We've got 3 blooms now, which is super exciting. This is the one that we took it from, right here. So yeah, actually very, very excited about that. That's very cool. We've got the, oh my gosh, I just said it in my head, Candra? I'm gonna have to put it up. But anyway, this thing is doing a lot better over here. I ended up having to move a couple of them too, so they get a little bit more sun, but not quite sun on the pot part of it, so that way they still retain their moisture. Update on the poplar. Funny story. I absolutely love willows. Willows are my favorite tree, but in our area here where we moved into, excuse me, my grandma's house, and we are fixing it up, trying to get it all better. It's a smaller plot, so I can't do a willow because the willow's roots just go out way far. Well, I Googled and I searched for trees that do not have those expansive roots. One of them was a lily poplar. And I felt like it was a really good idea to get it and everything, which would be great. My grandma passed, and we usually dedicate a tree to a person or something like that on the property. So I thought that it would be really, really cool. Well, person or animal. But I thought it would be cool to have my grandma's tree here. Well, then I find out that poplar's roots extend way far. And so that is not a tree that you want on a small plot of land. So I have 2 options. One, I can container grow it, put it in a giant container, and let it get reasonably big, but pull it inside every single winter. So that way that it survives, and gotta make sure it gets enough light and everything. So that's one. Or to bring it to a property that has a very large plot of land where they might enjoy having a lily poplar. This is why it's called a lily poplar. Look at that. It got its first true big leaf right here. And it looks like a lily. It's really pretty. Kind of like a tulip, actually, I would have to say. Oh, is this a tulip poplar? That was a lily poplar. Pretty sure. Anyway. But yeah, it's doing great, and I'm going to decide what I'm going to do with it. It has finally cooled down. We finally broke out of that heat dome. So I'm going to be planting things out in the yard and helping them to establish roots and everything now before we get to winter time, and just covering it with a bunch of mulch and probably hay and stuff like that to keep it surviving through the winter. Ordinarily you would plant them out way earlier, but unfortunately with that heat dome happening and everything, there's just tons of plants that were just dying when they got planted out. If they got planted in like a bed or something like that with a lot of other plants, they seem to be okay. But if they didn't have that, they did not do very well. What else do we have? We have all the flowers. We have daylilies and iris and everything. This tomato has just gotten crazy, just absolutely crazy. I think those I have to trim. I have tried to lift those up several times and they just keep escaping. As you can see, I just have all sorts of string just going everywhere. So we welcome the increase in tomatoes. I mean, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 plants here, and it's just loaded with tomatoes. We don't even really need more tomato plants. Cough, cough. But we welcome it, but at the same time, we have to make sure, if I'm going to do this in the future, which I really enjoy this, but I might give them their own bed in the future, so that way they're not leaning on everybody else. So, yeah. Oh, look at that. We got ripe tomatoes. Awesome. We'll pick those here in just a few minutes. But yeah, all the other flowers and everything are doing pretty dang well there. They're enjoying it. Hibiscus never came up. Now, that's not to say that it won't come up again next year, so I'm going to keep it. This one right here. Hibiscus are the ones in the springtime, you think it's dead. You think it's just gone. It's not going to bloom or anything else. And then all throughout the springtime, you're just like, oh, I didn't make it. It's not coming up and everything. Well, if you leave it, it actually will start to come up, which is amazing. And so this one, we actually had that heap dome and everything, and it just did not do very well. I didn't have it mulched or anything. Brought it out here, and it was kind of in the shade, but not enough. So hopefully it still has enough energy to be able to come back next year. And I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna find out, see if it'll come back. What do we have? I trimmed off my sage. This is a mess right now. Oh my goodness. Trimmed off sage, and it came back like crazy. It is just growing like crazy right now. Same thing with the lavender. Trimmed the lavender and everything. Came back like crazy. Been a couple of days since we've looked for green beans. I'm not sure if it's got to still be producing, because I see some little flowers on it. There's flowers right there. Corn. So corn is exciting. We got other corn plants that actually have some corn stalks here. I'm trying to keep it at like a lower angle here. But this one's got it, and then let me up to the sky. You can see how tall those things are. Those guys are above the roof. That's crazy. And then this one right here is a sunflower. They'll get to be that big. They're probably going to keep growing too. But I did notice that the stalks are not as thick. So it's more like it put on that growth very quickly rather than kind of bulking up. And I don't know. My guess is because I planted it in with the corn. That is my guess. There you go. So coming on over here, and these are the peas. If you look at this surprised me, because I thought that it was all dying back. Right as August was approaching, like we had a whole bunch of just dead leaves and everything. And I thought since the heat, the plant just didn't like it and it was dying back. But now that it's kind of cooled down and everything, it's putting out flowers. It's got some more beans. It's got a lot more growth. Kind of surprised me. So that's good to know. Good to know. I didn't necessarily need to rip it out per se. But I do have some more that are going to be planted. Here's the little flower garden. This was our original little grandma's flower garden in dedication to my grandma. So beautiful. Gotta take a picture. We do have this one little guy here. It looks like that one got pollinated, which is good. Still need to come out and collect seeds and stuff. Got some alyssum just hiding back down there. Anything that you put these petunias in, oh my good dear Lord. Now, I did not come and snip the buds off of these repeatedly. And so they kind of grew long and leggy, which worked out in the fact that it allowed the other plants to still grow and thrive. But like When I say leggy, I mean leggy. Very leggy. So it just kind of loops itself back around. But yeah, it allowed the other plants to survive, and I thought this would be too much water for lavender, but it just loves it. It loves it in here. And just tucked away in there. Love that. Alright, let's take a look over here. Up. Alright, so these are the little seedlings that are coming up. And look at that, we already have some. I don't want to pull it all the way off because I don't want to hit the little ones that are in the background. Looks like onions. Cannot read that. Hold on, let me move this little tag. Lettuce. Red romaine lettuce. Okay, so all of these little guys that came up are red romaine lettuce right here. So those guys are the first ones to come up, which is actually really, really cool. There you go. Close it up. Get that grass out of there. There we go. And there we go. Next one we've got. There's our neighbor's dog. We've got bok choy. Oh boy, everybody's barking. Look at this guy. Okay, let me go get. Oh, doggios. Dope, come, leave it. Dope, leave it. Come here.